Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the January meeting of the Washington County Quorum Court to order this evening. I appreciate everyone being here. It's great to see everybody. With that, we're going to do the prayer and pledge, and I believe Justice Rios Stafford's agreed to do that for us. Justice Rios Stafford.
Thank you, Judge. Dear Lord, as we enter a new term here on the Washington County Quorum Court, we ask you to guide us in the decisions that we make in wisdom, compassion, and heart, and give us the fortitude to make good decisions for all the residents of our county. Also ask you to bless all of our current and former employees, especially those who are going through trying times in this moment, especially including Carl Gales, our former employee whose daughter recently passed away. And please bless all the residents of our county. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Justice Rios Stafford. With that, we're going to move on to the adoption of the agenda. Do I have any motions with regard to the agenda? I have a motion to adopt the agenda by Justice Lyons, second by Justice Dean. All those in favor?
Wait, Judge, I'm going to.
Justice Cover?
Maybe, I don't know if you didn't see me, but I need to say this, to do this before we vote on it. I'm going to make an amendment to the agenda to add an item number, just after the current agenda item number 11 and just before adjournment. And that item is the nomination and selection by justices of the peace of individuals to serve as chairs of the Washington County Quorum Court's two standing committees, which are County Services and Finance and Budget for the 2025 to 2026 term. Thank you. That's my motion.
Well, I don't consider that motion in order. Tonight's our organizational meeting where we're going to discuss all that. The committees will always have the ability to govern themselves and organize themselves after we decide what committees are there. That's where the election of the chair will happen.
Well, I made the motion. I don't know if anyone's going to second it.
I told you it was out of order, so it would be an overrule of me. Whatever committees we decide to set, will organize themselves with their leadership.
And we're going to do that with agenda item number...
We're not going to do it this evening. That happens in the committee meetings. Pursuant to state law, Counselor reminds me.
Would you show me that state law, Counselor?
We can.
You don't have to now, but after.
So I have a motion on the floor to adopt the agenda by Justice Lyons, second by Justice Dean. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The agenda's been adopted. Are there any preliminary motions this evening? Justice Dean?
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that all ordinances and resolutions be read by title only.
I have a motion by Justice Dean to read ordinances and resolutions by title only. Do I have a second? Second by Justice Lyons. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ordinances and resolutions will be read by title only. Number 5 is our citizens' comment period. We have a 15-minute comment period with a limit of 3 minutes per individual. Citizen comments. Mr. Calcagni, you need to hit that button on the very right. At the bottom, is it the, nope, at the bottom. There you go.
Got her. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Mark Calcagni. I live at 12642 Arbor Acres Road in Tawnytown. I live half a mile west of the landfill, and I wanted to bring you guys up to date on some of the issues that we're having out there in Tawnytown. And I'm on the Air Quality Committee, the chair of that committee there in the city of Tawnytown. And many of you have already heard about some of the air issues that we've had over there. There's been 3 air tests that have been done, 2 by the National Guard and 1 by the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality that showed similar issues there. And there's been 5 chemicals that have been shown there, and 5 are pretty harmful. The first one is acrolein. As a matter of fact, acrolein was 4,900% over the EPA regional levels. There's benzene, which was 209% over the regional EPA levels. Carbon, those are the 2 big ones, and those are both carcinogens. And we've had people that have been sick, and we've had a rash of cancer in that area. The other three chemicals that were higher than regional EPA regional levels are carbon tetrachloride, chloroform, and naphthalene. And, you know, with the air being like it is and that area being more and more populated, it used to be a residential area, and a landfill, one, shouldn't be there because of cars, and two, because that area is growing immensely. Secondly, there was a red dye test by Waste Management that flowed into the Little Wildcat Creek that flows into the Illinois River, which I believe is Oklahoma's drinking water. And that's pretty scary. And that was only detected by a neighbor, where that would have never been discovered. Third thing, the city of Tinytown rejected, city council unanimously rejected expansion 3 times with 3 different stronger languages. And the pollution control and ecology regulations state, which Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality should follow, that the host city, which is Tinytown, should accept a new landfill or accept an expansion, and they didn't. Those were not adhered to, those regulations, which is 22.203 and 22.204, and they weren't adopted. They weren't adhered to because Waste Management gets because Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality gets $2.1 million a year from Waste Management Tinytown. And that's a shame. You know, money over health and safety when we do have people getting sick. And then the last thing, you know, I want to say is, you know, the citizens of Tinytown have complained to Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality over poor air, debris on the road, water issues, and dead birds. There was about 800 dead birds that were found there dead. And so, but nothing's been really done, and I guess my time is over, but the last thing I want to say is I hope you all listen to this and hope that you care. I loved your prayer because it talked about being sympathetic and, you know, to the people's needs, and hopefully you'll listen to this. I don't know what you can do, but I want you to know
Mr.
what's going
Calcagni,
on.
thank you. Your time's expired. Public comments. No, you can approach me and give them to me, and we'll pass them out. Yep, thank you.
My name is Kenneth Lovett, live at 18702 Clearwater Road. Got this package to pass out to y'all. It's got the CETA results. Like Mark was saying, it's 4,900%. It shows the areas it was tested. Acrolein, all that, he read it to you. But the problem is this sample range for acrolein is the RSL, regional screening level for EPA, is 0.021 micrograms. The range that identified is 0.17 to 0.48, and the range is not supposed to be over 0.021. So that's where you're getting 4,900%. But I wanted to come to you and talk to you. Last month, y'all gave $1 million to the emergency, Washington County emergency, whatever they call it. $1 million, and we call them and we try to get them and we can't get a response. We call them, leave a name and number on the answering machine, and we get nothing. We email them, we get no response. The emergency group is supposed to deal with emergency issues in the county, natural and man-made. EcoVista is man-made. I breathe this stuff. It comes in clouds. Y'all seen the cloud over Rogers last year. It comes in clouds, different weathers, different types of weather, different types of barometric pressure, brings that down on the ground. I've got pictures where you see a blue haze on the ground the night that I was 3 years ago, December 29th, 2021. We need help. ADEQ is not paying us any attention. It is their responsibility. They have 19 solid waste districts, Boston Mountain being one of them. Doug Sprouse, Mayor Doug Sprouse, with Boston Mountain says all they have to do is approve the certificate of need. They don't look at nothing to do with pollution. They don't do nothing with air. They don't do nothing with anything. And we have a ton of people out here in Washington County that need your help. and we can't get help from a group that's set up for man-made disasters. What are we going to do? The Planning Commission for Washington County approved a neighborhood at the end of Arbor Acres Road where it joins Harmon. Wasn't talked to Tawnytown. Thank y'all. That
Thank you,
shouldn't
sir.
be there.
Public comments.
Hello, thank you, Judge. Thank you, Quorum Court. May I pass these or hand them to you? First off, I want to say thank you for your time for my small community issue that we have. Hello, my name is David Baltz. I live at 4459 East Wyman Road. I'm a lifelong member of Washington County, Fayetteville, Arkansas area community. I've seen tremendous growth in the area and understand how when we grow together, we achieve success. When the growth becomes unregulated and not communal, we can all fall into distress. I'm coming to you today representing a small community in distress. The impact of the intent to operate a business at 4279 East Wyman Road under the guise Stewart Family Christmas Light Display as a for-profit company is putting strains on our partially rural neighborhood. I'd like to provide you all with the specifics my neighborhood has the concerns with. Some of those are traffic safety, gridlock, impeding the flow of traffic, unsafe entry and exit to this business that's operating school buses and vans to shuttle customers from a distant parking lot that I'm pretty sure that is not permitted for that business, operating employees in the public roadway, blocking public roadway. This is Wyman Road. Heavy construction, 72 hours of constant vibration, creating a gravel parking lot that would require a permit for that business to be able to do that kind of heavy work. Stormwater runoff into the White River, which I do believe requires a Arkansas state regulatory advice on that water runoff for a business. Noise pollution, trash and litter. We think many of these concerns fall under Section 11-100 large-scale development standards that this business has not applied for. This business is operating without any authority. I've provided maps showing the concern where they're shuttling and creating separate parking lots along Star, where they have signs showing the intent of business. They do charge. You can go to their website and see that they charge a fee. And I do believe also that the vendor permitting that they have is for a different location than what they're actually providing these vendors at as well. The traffic's very unsafe. I've been stopped on my way home by people with lights in the road that are not authorized to do so. I've been almost hit multiple times by people that assume that you're going to the light display instead of traveling past to your home. I appreciate your time and your concern. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Public comments.
Hello, Charles McKinney, 19956 Lakeview Road. I want to thank each of you for your service. I know that justice of the peace is time-consuming with your service on committees and so forth, and that I know that some of you may be tired of me. I am an outsider, and I know at times I've sounded like one. I did grow up here. I grew up in Springdale. My father was the mayor. He taught me the value of public service. I made good use of those values in my time when I worked as a park planner in New York City. I had learned to listen to people and to help them make their, dreams come true. And I'm here to speak about the zoning ordinance. And I know that these conditional use permits are a burden, and that's why the planning office and Judge Deakins has proposed an alternative route. And I also want you to know that I appreciate the changes in the zoning map, the reductions in the zoning to major intersections throughout most of the county is a step in the right direction. And I'm quite concerned that Highway 412 remains continuously zoned commercial for 9 miles. 9 miles of commercial on both sides of the highway. I think all of you would understand why it is not desirable to turn those farms and rolling hills into commercial strip development like we see everywhere. This decision will affect us for generations. Most of the growth is on the west side of Springdale. I think that is a really good place to keep it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. With that, item number 6 is the approval of the minutes. The minutes were emailed out with your packet. Are there any corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Motion to accept by Justice Ecke, second by Justice Dean. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The minutes have been accepted. Item number 7 is the county judge's report. First off, I want to thank the Let's Sew Extension Homemaker Club for those refreshments and the treats before the meeting tonight. Always very thankful for that. Thank you guys so much for that. The disposal reports are in your packet. A light month this month for disposals. I want to welcome our new Quorum Court members that have joined us this evening. I appreciate you guys stepping up to serve. Proud to be here. If there's anything that my office can do to help in this transition or to help get you guys informed, please let me know, and we'll do whatever we can for that. We're proud for you guys to be here. As many of you are well aware, we had a storm response this weekend. Washington County received about 7 inches of snow. The Washington County Road Department switched into 24-hour service, starting with a night shift on Thursday night. We worked through Saturday. Multiple hours of storm response there. This was the most challenging storm that I've been a part of with the road department. The roads were very slick. I'm sure most of the neighbors know. And so we had a long few days of trying to keep our dump trucks out of the ditches and trying to keep the roads clear. And so I want to thank everybody for their patience. We know how critical that is. I want to thank the men and women of our road department. I think they stepped up and did another excellent job. And I want everybody to know that when we have something like that, each storm is very unique in the way we react to it. And we always are taking notes and trying to learn from those experiences and so that we can get better as a county. And I would also like to say that we've opened up cooperation with our municipalities. One of the products we use on the roads is the ice slicer product. The city of Elkins actually got some of that ice slicer product this time from us since we can do some bulk buying. And so we'd like to just highlight that and say that we always are here to cooperate with our municipalities. And so if there's anything that we maybe can work on, if there's any ideas, call my office and we'll see if it makes sense for not only the county but for the municipalities also. I want to thank the justices and anybody over the last couple of weeks who's had the opportunity to attend one of our Community Rebuilding Initiative sessions. I'm very excited about that. That initiative is to bring an extension of our county jail to the old CSU building. It's going to serve men in a residential substance abuse treatment setting, and we're very excited about it. The most exciting part about that is that we've invited our neighbors, our communities into that facility to do programming and volunteer. And so it's a great way for us to make connections to a vulnerable population with the community. And I want anybody that has more questions about that, please reach out to me. We'd love to visit about that. And we'll be working next month with the Quorum Court to see if we can't get that initiative off the ground. Very excited about what that could hold for our future here. We saw an Axios report come out this week that said Washington County is the second fastest growing county in the state, only behind our sister county to the north, Benton County. And so we know that. We experience that every month with the business that we have to do to keep up with our astounding growth. But it looks to be no slowing pace there. And so we continue to grapple with that. And of course, we see that within our services in the county, not only in the infrastructure, such as our county roads, but also, of course, in our detention center and those types of services. And so we continue to monitor that and prepare for the future. I think we all know what a challenge our growth is, but what I'll tell you is I have several colleagues around the state in this same position in other counties that have the opposite problem. And that's a much more dire problem to have if you don't have the resources and you don't have the population. So we count our growth as a blessing. Don't know if anybody's had the chance to go down to the South Campus yet, but our Emergency Operations Center has taken off very well. The hardened portion of that building is standing right now. That was a precast concrete construction process, and they have all those concrete structures set up now. So if you have a chance, drive by there and see our progress. I'd also like to say that we're imminent with the beginning of the COVID mitigation project at the jail. We had our construction walkthrough last week, and that looks to be going very well. I would say the The riskiest part of that project is on the front end. It's moving all the utilities. And so we've been warned that there's a lot of utilities down there, and they think they know where they're at, but we're not going to know until they expose them and get them moved around. So that could be a contingency for us if we have a lot of utilities that we didn't plan on moving. But we'll try to keep you guys updated for that. I want to give a shout out to Dave and the IT team. We're trying to get you guys better resources down here. You can see we've gotten rid of the laptops in favor of some iPads. Please work with those and practice with them if you need help, or if there's things we can do to customize them, please get with Dave and IT. But we're very proud of that, and we hope that's a good resource for you guys to help you while you're here at the meetings and get information. I also want to give a shout out to our judicial judges in this courthouse. I've been very critical of the judicial pace of Washington County for a number of years now, and I can tell you that over the last couple weeks, with the new judges taking seats, the pace is absolutely night and day. We have seen a lot of transports up here from the detention center, and I want to especially thank Judge Joanna Taylor. I think she's putting in a lot of hours. I parked in the parking garage just now coming up from CRI. I think she still has court going on, or at least she did about 30 minutes ago. And so what I want to say is thank you. Thank you for those efforts, because those efforts mean a lot to us with not only in our judicial system, but in our detention center. And I just want to, when things are good, I want to be able to praise people, and I really, really praise this new commitment to the pace of our judicial docket. I have a reappointment. Russell Reinerson serves on our Board of Equalization. Russell Reinerson has served the county well and has been open to reappointment. And so with that, I would accept a motion to confirm Russell Reinerson. Motion by Justice Ecke, second by Justice Lyons. All those in favor? Those opposed? Russell Reinerson is continued on the Board of Equalization, and we're proud of that. Finally, my final thing is I want to pray blessings upon this new year in Washington County. I think we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us. We've got a lot of great work we can do, and I think we can do that together, and I'm really looking forward to it. What I want to share with you guys is we've got a lot of things that we're unsure how we're going to be successful, but over the last couple months in my office, the Lord has provided when we needed an answer, especially with the Community Rebuilding Initiative. I shared those comments with some of you a while ago. There's been areas where we thought this would kill this project. We won't be able to move forward. And the Lord has always provided us a solution. And so I'm very thankful for that. And what I also want to say is, if we thought we were going to do really hard work and advance this county and then have the energy to cheer and pat each other's on the back after that work was done, I think we're looking at the wrong result. We're going to do great things for this county, and then we're going to be tired and worn out, and we're going to lift our arms and whisper, hallelujah. And with that, we're ready to move on with the meeting. Item number 8 is a review of the prosecuting attorney's hot check fee account for 2024. By state statute, the prosecuting attorney joins us and reviews this hot check fund every year. I'd like to introduce our new prosecuting attorney, Mr. Brandon Carter, appointed by the Honorable Governor Sarah Sanders. He's excited. I've had the chance to have some limited conversations with him, but I'm excited for you to be here, Prosecuting Attorney Carter. And with that, we'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Judge Deakins. My name's Brandon Carter. I was appointed in November, but took office on January 1 as the prosecuting attorney for the 4th Judicial District. I have been a prosecutor in Northwest Arkansas for 20 years, the last 13 of which have been in the federal system, and I was a deputy in Benton County before that. This is my first experience with this particular prosecutor's office, but I am excited to be here and looking forward to working with all of you over the next 2 years that I'll be in office. Thank you for placing me on the agenda this evening. Particular thanks to the County Judge Deakins and his legal staff for taking my hand and guiding me through the process to get here tonight to deliver this report. I'm here this evening to deliver the statutorily required report on the prosecutor's hot check fund for the 2024 calendar year. My daughter doesn't know what a check is, so let me begin with this. A hot check is obviously a worthless check that's passed to a merchant. When a hot check is passed to a merchant, they can bring it to the prosecutor's office and present it to us. We will send a letter to the passer of that check and ask them to come and pay it or face prosecution. When they come and pay it, we collect the check, and then we collect some fees. Those fees can vary depending on the amount of the check, anywhere between $55 and $120, depending on the check size. Those fees are what I'm giving the report on here this evening. I believe the report was part of your packet, but you could see as of the last day of 2023, the hot check fund balance was $24,697.85. The collection of those fees for the calendar year of 2024 was $2,226.56. There's an expense report attached here, and you can see that over the course of 2024, $13,180.40 was expended out of that fund. The large bulk of the expenses out of that fund, you can see as utilities at about $8,600. That's the prosecutor's office cell phone plan. Traditionally, I think going back to when Terry Jones was the prosecutor and there was 3 deputies in the office, they paid for their cell phones out of the hot check fund. There are 25 lawyers in that office now, so it's exponentially made the amount of cell phones in the office more. As of the end of the year, the balance of the hot check fund was $13,744.01. I can tell you the balance today as we stand here is $12,751.40, the balance being a little bit lower because we paid the cell phone bill. I bring this up, and in previous offices where I was employed as a deputy, this fund is typically used for litigation and office expenses, and you can see that's what the bulk of these expenses are: travel, office supplies, attorney licenses, equipment. Anything that's a prosecutorial purpose can be paid for out of these funds, and that's how Washington County, before I took office, seemed to be using it. That's how I plan to continue using it while I'm in office. But with the changing way of how our society pays for things, and by that I mean debit cards and InstaCheck, where you know if your check is accepted or not right there at the merchant, we don't see near as many hot checks as we did even when I was a deputy prosecutor 13, 14 years ago in Benton County. As a result of that, you can see from the second page of the report, my predecessor, now Judge Durrett, estimated revenues of this coming year of $2,000 in those fees. And then the balance sheet for expenditures is about that same $2,000. Hot checks are, I equate them to kind of like the ivory bill woodpecker here in Arkansas. They're not extinct, but it's not all that often that you see it anymore. And I bring this up because I'm likely going to have to approach the Quorum Court for the next budget year and ask for a line item to pay for communications equipment, that being our cell phones. Hot checks it's not going to be able to sustain paying that bill with the revenue coming in versus what's going out for us to have communications. I plan to shop for a cell phone plan and get some estimates from the various providers before I do that, but I say this only to warn you that when budget time comes, this is coming. Not a parliamentarian, but if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them.
Questions for prosecuting attorney?
Thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9. Counselor, will you read that by title only?
All right. So item number 9 is the just kind of quick overview of our procedures here. It's a refresher for some of our veteran JPs and hopefully provide some good information for our new JPs. State law 1414-904 requires that this first meeting of the Quorum Court is what we call our organizational meeting. Ordinance 2012-31 established the date and time for the Quorum Court meetings as the third Thursday of every month beginning at 6 p.m. Unless and until the Quorum Court passes an ordinance changing that date and time, that will continue to be the date and time of the regular meeting of the Quorum Court. To date, I've not received any requests from any JP to change that. As such, we will continue on under Ordinance 2012-31 as the county has done since 2012. The county judge presides over your Quorum Court without a vote, but with the power of veto. And so that's the purpose of the county judge. Pursuant to a resolution back in the 80s, the county judge also sets the agenda for the Quorum Court meetings. A majority of the whole number of justices composing a quorum court shall constitute a quorum. So we have to have at least 8 justices present to have a quorum, to have a meeting. In addition to that, a majority of the entire body is required to pass any legislation. And so a vote on any ordinance requires at least 8 votes in order to pass. A motion shall only require the majority of vote of the whole number of justices composing a quorum for passage. So that's a little bit different. That's just a majority of the number that are present in order for a motion to pass. Ordinances and resolutions may only be amended by ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance isn't all that can amend an ordinance. A resolution is all that can amend a resolution. All ordinances and amendments to existing ordinances of general or permanent nature shall be fully and distinctly read on 3 different days, unless 2/3 of the members composing of the court shall dispense with the rule. So 10 of you are required to vote to dispense, to suspend the rules and move it on to a second reading and move it on to a third reading. A vote is not required after each one of those readings. The law is very clear that a vote's not required. On all the votes of all ordinances and resolutions, the quorum court secretary will call by name because we're required to record the yeas and nays, and so that's how we do that. However, emergency and appropriation ordinances work a little bit different. So an appropriation ordinance can pass with just 1 reading so long as it has 10 votes for passage. And it doesn't matter if that's the first vote or the second vote. If it gets to a third vote, it only requires 8 to pass for an appropriation ordinance. An emergency ordinance, given the nature that it's an emergency, there will only be 1 reading. The law's clear about it has to be imminent. It's got to be, time is of the essence, it's got to be done. That requires 10 votes to pass. If it doesn't receive the 10 votes, then the emergency ordinance fails, and that's the end of the ordinance for that. Let's see. All right, then we get into, those are state law rules. We get into a few local rules. We have an ordinance 2021-26 that requires that all general ordinances shall be presented to the county attorney's office by a member of the quorum court introducing that ordinance in rough draft form at least 5 business days prior to the date of the committee meeting at which the member of the quorum court wishes to introduce the ordinance. Except for planning board ordinances, CUPs, those are specifically exempted by this ordinance. They don't go to a committee, they go straight to the quorum court, given how their meetings don't really line up with our committee meetings. And oftentimes there are a lot of unopposed projects that just need to be affirmed, ratified by the quorum court, and so they're not required to go to a committee. But all other ordinances are required to go to a committee before coming to the quorum court, with the exception that by 2/3 vote, the members of the quorum court can suspend those rules and bring an ordinance directly to the quorum court without it going to a committee. Robert's Rules of Order is in play every time we take up an ordinance. It's also, by state law, Robert's Rules is our default. Robert's Rules is currently in its 12th edition. We fall under the most recent edition, which is the 12th edition. Not many changes from that in the 11th edition, except it kind of had a whole lot more to do with online meetings because of COVID. They kind of wrote some things to change some of that, which don't really affect us. Also, you should note that an ordinance cannot be reintroduced for a period of 1 year once it fails adoption by the quorum court, unless it deals with the budget. So unless it's an appropriation ordinance. Any other ordinance that fails can't be reintroduced for a period of 1 year. Let's see. As justices of the peace, you are allowed to speak twice in debate on an ordinance for a maximum of 5 minutes each. That was passed in Ordinance 2019-4. Ordinance 2023-3 established 2 committees, the Finance and Budget Committee of the Whole and the County Services Committee of the Whole. Under state law, a committee of the whole is only allowed if approved by the county judge. State law also says that the county judge appoints to all county committees. I know there was a question about the organization. The issue with picking chairs is if for some reason someone says, I don't think we should add some more, we should do something, it changes the game. And those typically, the committees then organize themselves at their first meeting. Because should someone introduce an ordinance to change this, that may change the committee of the wholes, because the judge has the right to say it's not going to be a committee of the whole and here are the people that are going to be on it. And so you can't really preemptively elect a chair to a committee if someone's not on that committee. Make sense? Okay. All right. So those are the big rules, and I know as you're new, it goes fast, and I'm always here to help. My office is happy to help. Also know that under FOIA, you are all subject to FOIA for anything that deals with county business, whether it's on your government email, a private email, or your private phone. Text messages, emails, anything that has to deal with official business of the county is subject to FOIA. Any email that you get on your county email that has nothing to do with county business is not subject to FOIA. And so there's a lot of confusion a lot of times with what emails you have to use and what subject and what's not. But the rule is if it deals with official county business, regardless of where it is, it's subject to FOIA. All right, that's all I have, Judge.
Great. I'll add a couple things. I know you guys, some of you had the opportunity, I believe, to go down to the JP orientation. There's some handbooks there for state FOIA, some little pamphlets, and we'll try, if you don't have one of those, we'll try to get you a copy of that. We also at one time had some access to some summary editions of Robert's Rules, and I'll see if I can't get you guys some copies of those just so you have those for references moving forward. Does that sound good? Good. And anybody else who is missing one of those books, we will try to obtain you one too if you'd like. Willie would like it. Okay, yeah, we'll try to get access to those and try to get those handed out. Did you? Oh.
I just want to ask Brian a question.
Sure.
You were saying it dies for a year. If, say, I brought it up and it died, I thought a person could bring it back up if the one that it died on. Is that not true? Does that make sense, what I'm even asking?
Someone that voted, say that again.
I was thinking if something died, that the person that brought it in to start with could bring it back, and he's the only one that could bring it back.
No.
That's
So there's a little bit of a difference here. So there's a rule in Roberts that allows during a meeting, if something fails to get the votes that it needs, if it's close, if someone on the winning side, so something that opposed it, can make a motion during that meeting to recall that and vote again. Maybe some information comes out in a meeting that makes you think that, wait a minute, I would have voted differently on that ordinance had I known that prior, but it has to be during that meeting. There can be a motion to reconsider, but it has to be someone on the majority. The minority, the losing side cannot reconsider that. Only the majority, only the winning side can. We're talking about something that dies at quorum court. An ordinance is presented that's not an appropriation ordinance, and it is defeated at quorum court. It cannot come back up. In other words, you can't just keep bringing these same ordinances back just to hope to get a different result or to cause delay. And so that was the purpose of that ordinance being implemented by the quorum court.
Keep it on. Justice Lyons?
Thank you, Judge. On that same point, Counselor, it's only if it dies in the quorum court. Well, if it dies in committee.
The ordinance says that if it dies with the quorum court.
Okay, so if it dies in committee, it could be brought back.
I would say if it dies I'd say there's some argument to be made, and the court would have probably be the one to make that decision on how it felt it should go. But the ordinance said at the time there were no committee of the wholes. There was not a committee of the whole, so all committees were. So the intent there was that the full quorum court.
Okay.
If it doesn't get to that point, then you're right. It didn't meet that threshold. But that would certainly be something for you all to argue and debate and make a decision on.
Just wanted the clarity. Thank you.
Justice Bond?
Yes, thank you. On the same issue, if it dies and it's not brought back up that night by one of the majority voters that voted it down, even one of the majority voters can't bring it up in another meeting?
No, the Robert's rule states that a motion to reconsider is only valid during the meeting in which it was considered. So once that meeting ends, you can't reconsider it at a different date.
Thank you.
Great, appreciate it. Item number 10, Counselor, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance authorizing the county judge to enter into a contract for services with the Association of Arkansas Counties and appropriating $7,000 to be paid for the membership therein. Okay, so Washington County is a member of the Arkansas Association of Counties. The reason for that is we have access to insurance benefits and services that you all receive with your Quorum Court Association membership. There's also there's a county judges association that's included in that. There's a circuit clerks and assessors. I see our treasurers here, our tax collectors here, county clerk. All the elected officials have their own associations with that. But one of the biggest things that the Association of Counties provides to counties is what's called their risk management fund. As you know, governments have sovereign immunity, and as such cannot be sued, except to the extent that you have some sort of insurance. And so our risk management fund is what all the counties participate in, and in the event that the county has some sort of liability in something, that's handled, any payment of that is handled, any payments that are ordered out or any settlements that are ordered out based on that or agreed to out of that comes out of the risk management fund. We as Washington County don't get to dictate anything with that. For example, there are numerous what are called federal 1983 claims against the sheriff's office. It's a violation of your rights, and there's a lot of inmates with a lot of time on their hand, so there's a lot of these that are filed. Some of them are valid. Most of them are denied by the judge and kicked out, but that's all handled by the risk management fund and by their attorneys, and so they handle all of that. Should they choose to settle with an inmate, I'll give you a recent example is there was the big ivermectin lawsuit that was filed against Dr. Karras. The risk management fund, I believe, chose to settle with those inmates, but that was all their decision. It wasn't anybody at the county's decision, and they decided how much they would settle that for. But that came all that way. It does none of these funds come out of county general, and so that's the big advantage that we have with the Association of Counties. They also serve as a lobbyist to the legislature. So anytime we as the county have issues with legislation, which we have had numerous times, the county association, we can talk to them. They will help get bills and bill sponsors and write legislation, and then they'll go and they'll work with the legislators. They have a whole team that goes, like right now, since in the legislative session, who spends every day at the Capitol talking to legislators, letting them know, hey, they put together a legislative packet of bills they want passed every year based on the feedback they get from the counties on problems and shortcomings that we face that the legislature may have overlooked or something that hadn't come up before. And so those are all the things that we have. And in order for us to participate with the Association of Counties, it's not something that just the county judge or any county elected official can choose on their own. State law requires that an ordinance be passed by the Quorum Court that authorizes the county judge to enter into a contract with them. And so this year, our membership is about $7,000 to be a member of that, but that $7,000, there will be far more money paid out in legal fees and attorneys and whatnot. And so to me, it pretty much is a pretty big bargain to the county for that amount, and that amount's set, and they move it every year. It goes up a little bit with inflation, but that's where we are.
Justice Lyons?
Thank you, Judge. I move that we pass item number 10.
I have a motion to pass item number 10 by Justice Lyons and a second by Justice Ecke. Justice Ecke, you got further comment? Okay. Second by Justice Ecke. Any further discussion or questions about the ordinance? Public comments on item number 10.1. Seeing none, we're going to take up the question. I have a motion to pass item number 10.1 to the full, no, it's not fun. We have a motion to pass item number 10.1 by Justice Lyons, second by Justice Ecke. Mr. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Justice Bruns? Yay. Justice Wilson? Yay. Justice Massengill? Yay. Justice Rivera Lopez? Yay. Justice Lyons? Yay. Justice Ecke? Yay. Justice Dean? Yay. Justice Washington? Yay. Justice Koger? Yay. Justice Dennis? Yay. Justice Hires? Yay. Justice Rio Stafford? Yay. Justice Lemming? Yay. Justice Ricker? Yay. Justice Pond? Yay.
Item number 10 passes. The final item on our business this evening, the selection of a representative to serve on the Arkansas Association of Quorum Courts for the 2025-2026 term. Justice Lemming?
I make a motion, Lisa Ecke is there.
I have a motion. I have a motion by Justice Lemming to confirm Justice Ecke as our association liaison, and I believe I heard second by Justice Dean. Oh, Justice Lyons, Justice Dean, Justice Lyons. We'll give it. Justice Ecke.
I'd like to say thank you to Justice Lemming for nominating me. It's an honor to be nominated. I look forward to continuing representing Washington County. I've been elected by the 3rd Congressional District of counties. Some of these I don't even know, but they had enough confidence in a person representing Washington County, and they elected me to the 12-member executive board. I want to continue working and representing Washington County on that board. Secondly, I was asked to serve on the legislative board, and there's only 3 members of the 75 counties that represent the JPs on the legislative board, and that we will get the information from you all. What do you want to see the legislators discuss and hopefully will pass? And I was chosen to be on that, and that is an honor. So I want to say thank you, and I hope my colleagues approve. But Washington County is setting, we're pace setters, is what we are. We're pace setters, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Justice Ecke. And with that, I had motion by Justice Lemming and second by Justice Lyons. All those in favor? Those opposed? Congratulations, Justice Ecke, on your continued service with the Association of Counties. I appreciate our great first meeting. Thank you all for all you do for Washington County, and with that, we'll be adjourned.